Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dodgeball Podcast. Finally happy to bring you guys this, I want to say, much anticipated interview with no stranger to the podcast, though, ironically enough, Andrew Ketchum. Andrew, finally made it happen, man. Thanks for hopping on. And yeah, we made it, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be able to talk instead of be talked about. So
yeah, I figured you might want to defend yourself, but most of the stuff we've talked about, if you've not heard, seems to be pretty good. I mean, you're a terrifying guy, big deal. But hopefully we can kind of unearth some of that and find out more about you. But shoot, man, I don't even know where to begin. Let's just start with the first question. Like, what got you into dodgeball?
So I had been sort of immobile for a couple of years. I had 2 knee surgeries in high school that sort of stopped my basketball career from going anywhere or really doing anything. And so I was in a wheelchair for my senior year of high school because from one knee surgery and then going right into the next knee surgery and the other knee not being strong enough to support the other one. So I was pretty immobile for a while. And then one of my buddies was like, hey, there's this trampoline park. Like we all go here. That was kind of like the thing in high school. Like Wednesday nights, they had a big deal. They had a big dodgeball night, like for high schools. So about I think it was a year after high school or something, I started going to these because like my knees were kind of healed again, quote unquote healed, but they could handle trampoline. Huh. And so I started playing with cloth balls. I love cloth balls. Gross. And I'm ready for all the hate for saying that, but I love cloth balls. They were the ones they had. They always had nice new ones because it was like a company, and this is how I met Nick Factorin.
Okay. Because
Factorin was the manager there, and so eventually I spent pretty much every Friday and Saturday night there because I just loved playing dodgeball. I had so much fun. My friends would go there. We had pretty much 2 tournament teams that would basically go every Friday and Saturday night. Because it was at one point they were sort of just like, you guys can just come in and play. Like Nick made passes appear and dollar signs disappear. Is the best way to describe it. So okay. We sort of just would come in and play. And he was always just super nice to us because he, we brought people in, people would come play against us. Sometimes we would do they would do a big challenge and it would be 3 of us on 25 people or something. So they saw that it was funny, but that's where I sort of gained my love for dodgeball. And then from there, I went to they started doing a no sting league there. Which was a part of NLA, which I don't know if they still do dodgeball, but when they did, that was what sort of got me to that next step. Then we had a tournament at the OC Fair, which was the first time that I met Vince, Nate, and all those guys.
Okay, that's why he said OC Fair on the thread.
Oh, no, he's talking about a different OC Fair, which
gotcha.
I won't get into.
Gotcha, okay.
But yeah, so we met there. We started talking about dodgeball. They were like, hey, you're pretty good. You should try to come to this. I think, and I want to say NDL was 2 weeks out or something. Vince is like, come down, try to, we'll find you a team. And then I went to my first NDL tournament, I played on Pimp Hand.
Really?
Yep.
What year was this?
And this was a long time. I guess a long time now.
It's gotta be 2012, 11 maybe.
This was I think this was Pimp Hand's second to last year.
Wow.
And I was bad. I could throw the stingers and I could catch. But I could not 8.5 is not a chance.
Just wasn't happening.
I was playing in vans. I'd showed up and I was just like, this is this will be cool experience, whatever. I'll just go to Vegas. Little did I know that that would be the turning point for me because then I started like meeting people, talking to people, doing all this stuff. I did better at foam than I did at the 8.5 Stinger. And this to this day was still this is the most haunting memory I've ever seen in dodgeball. It was me and Anthony Miller against Jim. I think it was Jim and somebody else. It might have been just Jim. But it was 1-1 at this point. This was the semifinals. Like, we were like close to knocking Rise out, which would have, I don't have to like that would have been huge at that time. Jim is literally fixing his crotch, he's fixing his pants. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know if he didn't think we had a ball. Anthony Miller throws a stinger. The ball gets lodged in between his arm and his chest. And people just like lost it. He just looks up, he's looking around, and he's just like, he didn't even know what happened. And then it's just me, and I'm like, oh. And yeah, so we lost it from there. But that was my first NDL experience. We made it to the semifinals, and then that happened. And then that's when I met, just that weekend, that's where I met everybody. From there, I just started playing in more leagues, and then I got into Elite, got on Riot, and then everything else from there kind of just trickled,
Gotcha.
I guess.
Yeah, you started, you got into Elite 2013 for Rampage, I think, is when I first noticed you. Yep. And then I won't say the rest of the history, but we'll get into that too. So Pim Pam Strong, that's got to be like 2010, 11-ish.
I think so. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It might have been 2011, 2012, because that would have been after I graduated high school.
Gotcha. And so I think we just assumed you're from Arizona. So you're born and raised in LA, or?
So I was born in Kentucky.
Oh wow.
Then I moved to England. Then I moved back to Kentucky. Then I moved to Colorado. And then I moved to Orange County, which is where I was from second grade until I moved out here to Arizona. Then I moved back to Orange County, and then I moved back out to Arizona, where I currently am. But in between that, I spent a good chunk out of the year in Massachusetts, whether it was most of the summer or all the summer, things like that. So that was like a lot of growing up until California became like the most stable place. That's kind of where I spend most of my time.
Gotcha. So you're already, I guess before Dodgeball, you were already kind of no stranger to traveling and just residing in different areas and.
Yeah, I love traveling. So that's like any tournament, anywhere, I'm down to go. I don't mind traveling.
That's funny because oh, go ahead.
It's just I love traveling, and I love dodgeball, so it's perfect.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of, not all the time, but I do pick up on the fact that there's an event coming up based on where you're going. And I remember this one time, like it was just a picture of you in a plane. I was all, oh crap, something's happening. I need to find out about this. And it was like the Grand Rapids tournament or something like that. I'm like, oh,
that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm basing my episodes on where you're going, just because like that's my indication system.
That there's a tournament.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 times it's for a tournament. But well, cool. So you mentioned basketball as what you were kind of getting into. What other sports did you play before the knee surgeries? So I played football, I played baseball, I played basketball. I was like good at one or two things in like baseball, and I was good at one or two things in football, but I was never like just good at the sport. If that makes sense. In football, I could catch really well. In Pop Warner, we were running post routes because we had a quarterback he was older, but his weight was lower, so he could play with us. So I think he was in 7th grade and I was in 5th grade, and we were running post routes because he could throw the ball and I could catch the ball. So like I was good at catching in football, but everything else not so much. And then in baseball, I could throw the ball and I could field, but I could not hit for my life. Like hitting just didn't happen. A lot of that came from I got hit in the knee with a pitch.
Yeah, and that was sort of the. I don't think that's actually what started my knee problems, but subconsciously I associated that to my knee problems forever. So I wouldn't stand. I would not even stand in the batter's box.
Dang. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember the first time I got beamed was in the thigh, but that's fine. I can't imagine the knee. God dang.
Yeah, like straight in the knee. I forget why, like what the situation was, but yeah. And then I had made. I think this was in. I want to say this is in middle school. I made like the all-star team for baseball, but I couldn't play because of my knee, and so that kind of left like a bad. Like I didn't want to go back to baseball at that point, type thing.
So that hit that you took in the knee, was that just
the pitch? Yeah.
Was that an injury though, or was that like just like that really hurt a lot? I'm gonna walk it off, or were you?
Yeah. So I looking back at it, I'm pretty sure it just hurt then.
Right.
But that was around the time. So I developed degenerative cartilage diseases in both my knees, and starting in 4th grade.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I got made fun of for a long time because I ran like a duck, and I fully accepted it because I ran like a duck. My knees would like go in. If I can find a video of it, I'll send it to you because it's kind of entertaining.
Right.
But then I kind of had to figure out how to like play those sports without like with that happening, because like I couldn't fix it. My knees weren't stable enough, but I wanted to play sports, and so I figured out how to like play these things and essentially run like a duck.
Wow. Despite the fact that people are making fun of you, and you still sucked it up and played anyway.
Yeah, at one point, yeah. I mean, starting off it didn't feel good, but then at one point, I was like, it is what it is. I run like a duck.
Right. Wow.
It's really funny when I like outrun somebody and I run like a duck. That was what I tried to do.
You just shut them up.
Yeah, but then with basketball, a lot of those like inward knee motions happen when you're like, like when I'd take a step out and I'd drive to the hoop, like that worked. So that I could play basketball, but it was really funny when I would go for a layup and my knee would give out. I would like fall and have to flick it, which I figured out like I could tell when my knee was going to give out, and so I would try to prepare myself as best as I could for it.
Dang.
Yeah. So all those things I just like, but that's why dodgeball is perfect for me, because I could throw really well and I could catch well. And so once I started playing dodgeball, I was like, there's a sport where the only two things I'm good at come together. Perfect.
That's like, that's the point of the game.
Yeah.
Wow. That's yeah, it's kind of like the perfect calling. It's like, oh, well, you only have these attributes, but guess what? There's a sport where if you have those, you're going to be a phenomenal player.
Yeah, so like I think that was like a big part of why I kept playing, is because I finally felt like I was, I finally felt like adequate at all aspects of a sport.
Instead of just partially decent or good for a couple things.
Yeah, it wasn't like I got a like high stat in this, really low stat in this. Like, I'm good. You put me in the outfield, I'll catch the ball and I can gun somebody down a home plate. But if you want me to hit, it's not going to happen. And I also run like a duck, so I'm slow. Like, I can't,
Right.
So dodgeball was like a really cool thing for me to find, because I've always been super competitive with everything. Like, if I don't think there's anything that I'm not competitive with.
Yeah, I mean,
like, me and my brother will play Risk, and one of us guaranteed will not talk to the other person for like an hour after we play.
Oh, that's not bad. An hour is okay. I think a friend of mine still won't talk to me after like 8 years, but that's not too bad. Well, I mean, just like watching you on like video games and that dumb game you play, Spike Ball. You can see there's a competitive edge about you. So that's definitely no doubt there. Did any of, well, I guess you kind of already answered this other one, and that would have been like what sports helped you with dodgeball. But I guess, was there anything? Actually, let me back up. I wanted to ask, did you ever pitch at all? Because you would think with your arm, you'd think, oh, baseball, he's a pitcher. Football, oh, he's definitely a quarterback. Did you play?
So funny enough, funny enough, I never did. Because when I was playing, like we were young enough where like the outfielders could barely get it in, but I could gun somebody down at home plate.
So that's
like
what needed you.
I would skip the cutoff man, and I was good at catching. So I loved playing the outfield.
Gotcha.
And so I saw between there and second base.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, but funny enough, I never pitched.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean that's like the ultimate irony. Like you would just assume, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Any other sports? I mean that you might have dabbled in, or any other like wrestling, martial arts.
Never got into martial arts. Never got into wrestling. My brother did, but I would just go and watch. I would play hockey in the street with friends.
Right.
But yeah, nothing else that I really got into. Soccer was not a go for me. If I can't compete, I get upset, and kicking things is not a good thing for me. I am awful at kicking things.
Gotcha.
When I did play soccer, I played goalie because I could read the ball and I could go for catches essentially. Like I would, coach would tell you to swipe to knock the ball down. I would just try to catch the ball.
You're like, no, I'm just gonna catch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bat it down.
And I could punt it, but I couldn't anything else. Just not a chance.
Gotcha. That reminded me of a question I didn't get to ask earlier, and that was you said you had a hard time throwing the 8.5 ball, but you started with cloth and you love that. How? Because like.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I had never actually really played with an 8.5, and when I got there I just didn't really know what I was doing. Because like with 8.5, and this is what I feel like turns a lot of people off about it. Like you kind of have to work at the throw to like get used to it, figure it out, like throwing it at high speeds, like how the ball moves and stuff, and so you don't throw it into the rafters. Even though I still do it all the time. The cloth ball just made sense to me, and like I don't know.
Do you grip it, or do you like shovel it, or like how do you? Let's start with that.
I gripped it. I would just grip it.
See, that could be why.
Yeah, I've heard people not have good and I know the people in San Diego used to play with those balls.
Yeah.
San Diego leagues always used to have those balls, and so there was one tournament I went down there and I was stoked. Like I was so happy to see those balls again. And funny enough, I played with Factorin for that. But yeah, no, I oddly like cloth.
That's funny. Well, at least now I know that whenever some person brings up cloth, I know that you're not trolling. I was looking at your poll of like what style of ball should we play for elite practice, and I was going to comment yesterday. Funny enough, and I was like, there are 12 people here that are just lost, sad souls. I don't know who the hell said cloth, but they're wrong, and I would have taken that a completely different way now. But now that I know that you play or you enjoy cloth, I get it. I know it's not you're not just being a troll. You actually do like cloth, which is.
I don't think there is a ball I don't like. I genuinely just love dodgeball, and so I'll go play anything, anywhere.
Rocks, fists, shoes.
Yeah,
softball.
Yeah.
Do you have
played?
Oh, go ahead.
I'll say the favorite ball question. I refuse to answer. But I don't think there's a ball. I played with the 8-inch foam. I played with 7-inch foam. I'll do pinch. I'll do not pinch, no sting, stingers. My very first pinch experience was actually with you, and that was a blast.
Yeah, that was fun. I heard about you. Well, no, I take that back. I mean, I knew about you. Like with 8.5 and all this other stuff. I didn't know you. I guess that's when I realized you were a catcher. So I remember I'll never forget this. Somebody threw a pinch at us, and you just you did your catch 'em catch. You backed up, and you just did this praying mantis motion. Yeah. And it was like the weirdest, coolest thing. I was like, whoa! Like he just completely snagged that thing out of the air.
I know exactly who that was too. That was actually Kenny.
Oh, that was a key throw. Holy crap! That's nice.
Because I just distinctly remember that because somebody people were losing their mind and I mean he throws hard and it came out and I was like what the heck, but it just the praying mantis was in the right spot, and I got it. And I was like, I like pinch. Pinch is fun.
Yeah, you just snagged that thing. I was more impressed with just the fact that the way your form was, and you caught that, and you just continued to do that. I was like, oh, I guess that's a way you can catch. Apparently, that's pretty cool. Because you're like leaning back and your weight's distributed kind of weird, like. But then when you said that you were a receiver, and like your hands are going up for that, I guess that post throw, what have you, it's starting to make sense now. It's all starting to make sense. Yeah, so you're down for anything, pinch. What about style of play? And I guess I can really only compare that to 6v6 versus. Let me back up real quick. Have you ever played international dodgeball, where it's like, yeah, your team is in the center, but they also have like teammates on the outside of the box, and you're throwing?
I have not. I am fully down to. I just don't know where I can play that. But that looks. I've seen that, and it looks wild.
It's weird. And I only brought that up because I saw that it's like showing up on, I think, Dodgeball Family. Like, what is happening here? Or how's this a thing?
Yeah, I know. I knew about it before that because and this is the funny part of me. Like when I started playing dodgeball. So our routine is, and this is terrible. We'd all go play dodgeball for two hours, and then we'd all go to a hookah lounge. And they ended up sponsoring us for our teams. Like we got shirts and everything, and they like paid for our tournament entries. But because like everybody would go to the thereafter, because that was like we couldn't go to bars. That was like the only place like you could all go with your friends. It's 18 and up type thing. And they were big in California at that time. But the guys there were like they would always ask me about dodgeball and stuff, and they had started telling me, they were like, oh, like I've played where like you all start in the middle and people are throwing on the outside, people throw through, and you try to be the last person in the center. So that was the first time that I had heard about like that there was another style of dodgeball.
Yeah, it's like the old school. Like when people think dodgeball, like especially the older generation, they're like, oh god, dodgeball's awful, outlaw it. I think they're thinking that like you got people in the center and you're just trying to hit them, and there's no real like strategy behind it. It's not like the way the Japanese play it. But yeah, it's interesting. That's all I gotta say about that one. And as far as like what style do you prefer, I was kind of going back towards like trampoline versus like the court. Do you have a preference, or you just play anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll play anything. Whenever I get on trampolines, like a special part of me like kind of feels like I'm going home, you know? That's where I started, and I love playing on trampolines. Like just the most wild stuff can happen. I can do my praying mantis catch, but can go like vertically back, like essentially horizontal. So I don't have to worry about the weight distribution. Like I just throw myself back. Like
yeah,
there's something funny about the fact that you can just throw yourself anywhere on a trampoline. And whenever I play there, like it always feels like I'm going back home. So
it's like nostalgic, and you get like home field advantage powers or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's when I bust out the Spider-Man jersey, and then just everything I started with comes out.
Gotcha. And you still play trampoline ball, right?
Yes. Yeah, this year I am playing with Crisis, and we won the qualifier in Torrance, which is pretty cool.
Nice. I was just gonna mention that. And you guys, how did you guys do last year?
We got third or fourth last year, whichever. I don't know what it was, but that was when I was playing with Shooters. But we met Doom in the semifinals.
Gotcha. And so now you're playing with Crisis. So that's like what, Brody and
Ryan, Tad.
Yep. That's cool that they brought Crisis back. I was talking to Kenny about that a few episodes back, and when I first saw Crisis, it was like 2013. I was like, man, this is a really cool group of guys. I mean, they got like matching uniforms, but they're coming to like the world's awful, like the crappiest NDL tournament there's ever been. Like, dang, probably never see them again. But it's cool seeing them kind of like stick around and then resurface with their original team name.
Yeah.
Let's see. I do want to kind of go back and ask what drew you into Elite Dodgeball, but I also think that's mostly just your competitive nature, but let's kind of talk about that a little bit. What has your experience been with Elite from the first time you're there to now, and how has that shaped how you are as a competitive player?
Yeah, so I mean, starting out like when it was just like it was a couple rounds, and then you know like national, like the first one I went to was the Throwdown. That was in Rochester. That was like the first time that I was at a big like national tournament, I guess.
With other regions playing?
Yep. So that was cool because like people had like oh, like I know who you are, and like I've heard about you, I never met you, and I was the same way with me. I'm like, oh, I've heard about all these players, like all these teams. Like it's cool to actually finally meet them and see them here. And so that was an interesting weekend because we didn't have anybody. There was a bunch of flight issues, so we played with 4 people the first day. And then just slowly people trickled in. So that was funny. Not really, but that was really cool. Just looking at that to seeing where Elite is now, like how many teams there are, how many divisions there are. Like there's co-ed, there's co-ed no sting, there's pinch. Like just everything that's there it's wild to me.
For sure. And then in addition, throw in now what's taking place with the international scene, as we kind of talked about earlier. And I mean, UDC has always, it seems like UDC has always been pretty successful and good with the momentum. Or like, would you agree with that? Or do you think they're keeping up with the momentum that's being generated with ground dodgeball, for lack of better words?
Yeah, if there was no prize money at Sky Zone, or if the prize was as big as it was, I don't think anybody would go, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. The max games you play. So, let's say you're in the bracket with 7 teams. So that's split up into 4 pools. Each team has 8 pools. One pool is 7 teams. You play 6 games or 6 matches. That's round robin. Next day and then you go into the eliminations or whatever to make it to the top 8. Before it was just a playoff, but so then there max you get is 3 more matches, so you're in 9. And then the next day, if you are Doom and win or awesome, the max you play is 12. So
Wow.
that's 12 games.
These are games, not series matches.
Or no, those are series. So
Okay.
you play 12 series. You play 12 series, but so like in the grand scheme of things, that's not even that's just one division of round robin, or not even at nationals. I think you play. I forget how many games of round robin you play, but like in the grand scheme of things, that's very little dodgeball. So and it's just broken up over 3 or 4 days, and the spectating has not been the best for people in the past. So like it's the only reason people go is for the money.
Gotcha.
So if that money goes away, I don't think so. I don't think Elite's trying to Elite doesn't have to compete with them. Like it's in a category of its own.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know too much about UDC, as you can probably tell. I've played Trampoline a few times. It's weird and very foreign to me, and would take a lot of practice to even look like I know what I'm almost doing. But it just feels like there's a lot of momentum, but that could just be really good branding. Because they got the really cool posters and pictures of you guys, and obviously it's on ESPN.
Yeah, so I mean that's a fun part, and like it's a fun tournament.
Yeah,
and just seeing teams, seeing players that you don't see at Elite, like that only play at Sky Zone, like that's cool too. Because like I'm all about just seeing people, saying hi to people, and hanging out with people. So it's cool for that aspect, but like nobody's going for the play.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
It does, because sometimes I forget Elite even has a cash prize. Like I never even think about that. It's all about the competition and to play and to go up against the best. It's and I know what that mentality is, like with the NDL with their first allure of cash prize it just gets a different type of person, I guess, different type of competitor. So I kind of wanted to ask and get into the style of your play. I think by default, most people would consider you a very offensive player, but then you can turn it around and just snag every single ball out of the air. Do you have like a set mental state of how you play? Like, do you say I'm going to be aggressive as all hell right now, or do you just go with the flow, or what's your mentality when you go into a game?
It definitely reactive on the situation, and sometimes that hurts me because like I'll react to something and think something will work and then it doesn't. And like so that'll happen, but I'm definitely like a reactive player. There's like always a game plan and there's always like a set, but that's kind of one of the things like about dodgeball is that like like anything can happen at any time. The game can swing like that in the matter of a few seconds, and if I can do that and swing it for my team, like I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I mean I've seen both sides of it. I've seen you go wild and just get completely shut down, and it impacts us, and we're just like, why would you do that?
Right.
And then I've seen you when you're just on and there's like nothing in the world's going to stop you. We better, break our arms trying to get you a ball before that goes away. And it's like, yeah, we're on the winning side and, there's just nothing going to go against you. And, I mean, I've seen it even as a teammate. I've seen it as an opponent. I've seen it as a ref. There's just that pure reactive state that you can tap into that is just awesome and horrifying depending on where you are on the court. So I totally get that. And I was just curious if you have like this mentality where today I'm going to be super strategic or today I'm going to be really cautious or conservative. But
yeah, no, I mean, it depends. It depends, it depends like what team I'm playing on, depends like what team we're playing. Cause there are certain teams where like, I know that if I try to go in that reactive like state that we'll just lose.
Right.
And I know there are certain times where like I have to just keep myself alive or so it all kind of depends upon, and I'm funny enough, like I'm super analytical about all this and I watch every single game that I can possibly find and I'll go back and figure out like that was dumb that I did there or like and funny enough, like I have Brett to tell me these things. It's like I shouldn't have gone away with that, but I did. And like just like there's all these like certain there's a lot of different situations like in different hypotheticals that can happen in dodgeball. So it's like it's always like what happens, like every single thing throughout the game is like what if something happened differently there? Right. What if something happened differently there? So it's like so I've kind of like taken a step back and like figured out what's the best way to not necessarily how like what's the best way for me to like play my game, but what's the best way for my team to win.
Right.
And that's where I really enjoy playing foam because in foam I play in the middle. And I have a job to hit people and either dodge or catch or react, but like that is my job. And that's kind of a cool aspect for me. It's like I don't have to worry about, like I know my corners are going to protect me. Like I know that I just have to go up and hit people and then then that's where I get to react. Like that's my that is the game at that point. It's not me doing something different. Like I just get to react. So it's it all depends on like what team I'm playing on, where I'm playing.
Yeah, it does.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like I definitely have like there is a Ketchum game, but it all kind of varies.
For sure. Yeah, I mean you're not some crazy rabid animal. You like there's something going on when you're doing the things that you do mentally, and then you go back and you learn from it. As you said, varies based on. I mean, you play all kinds of dodgeball, so I imagine you get like a different Ketchum based on the elements. So, gotcha.
Yep. What ball? What style? What type? Like whatever. Like everything.
What the degree is? What elevation? What? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. What the temperature is? The wind speeds.
For sure.
I take it. I check weather reports for tournaments. Everything.
Oh man, you can see you bust out with like a what do you call it, like a little thermometer and be like, okay, I've got to play this way now and do, or a barometer. Here we go. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get to some of these crowdsourced questions because there's a ton of them, and I'm sure we'll be able to pull out some nuggets there. what we didn't cover with my preliminary questions. And
Perfect.
yeah, we're waiting for this one. So the first one, it's kind of like a carry-on or a follow-on question. It's one that Markel Stokes submitted, and that was, what song or songs get you amped up for a dodgeball game, if any?
So this is gonna sound funny, but I have a piano playlist.
Okay.
Because I need to, in order for me to play best, I need to slow myself down.
Wow.
So when I can slow, so where some people are like, I gotta get amped up for a tournament. I'm amped 24/7. And so what I personally need to do is I just need to level set myself out a little bit. So the piano music, helps me gather my mind, gather my thoughts, gather everything, and puts me in the zone. And then once I'm in the zone, and my family knows this, and Courtney especially, I don't talk to people, I just go. I'm there to play at that point.
Right.
So once I get in the zone like that, I'm in that zone.
That's funny. When you said you wouldn't expect this, I was thinking, okay, Celine Dion, Backstreet Boys, whatever, those are fun songs. I wasn't expecting you rocking out to For Release or some kind of little chill piano. That I'm gonna picture that now. Whenever I see you with your headphones on, I'm just gonna hear piano music and be like,
Watch, yeah, it's and I've sometimes watch me play and put piano music there, and it'll make sense. It'll all make sense.
That's funny. Do you have a specific song, or do you just hit up piano music and then just whatever, as long as it's a piano playing, you're good?
So yeah, there's a piano playing, but I have a Disney piano playlist.
Oh wow.
So, and funny enough, it's part of your world from Little Mermaid. Is my favorite piano song.
Okay.
Yeah, that nobody will expect that, but the song, it just the way it flows and everything, something about that song, just the strokes, everything, how it picks up, goes down, just everything is.
I haven't heard that song in decades. I'm gonna have to.
I will send you the exact song.
Yeah.
And then I will link it on once you post the or whenever you post the podcast. I'll link the song. Yeah. And I'll link my playlist. It's on Spotify.
That's awesome. Yeah, people need to know. I need to recall this. All right. Well, quick segue question. Do you have a favorite Disney movie? I don't know if that was in the thread, but since we're on it.
Dude, when people are posting those brackets, the Disney brackets, I feel like this is right around March, during March Madness. People are like, "This is the real March Madness," and it was all the Disney movies, and you had to pick one at the end. I made 40 different brackets. I can't pick one. I really can't. I love Disney movies. Yeah. My favorite Disney character is Winnie the Pooh, which is also funny. But favorite Disney movie, maybe Tarzan, just because of how good the soundtrack was too.
Oh man, you got Phil Collins stuck in my head. I've never seen that movie, but it's You'll Be My Heart's now stuck in my head. Dang it.
Yep.
I'm gonna fight it. Oh, okay. I'll have to check out that song you sent me, and I'll check out Tarzan. It's been coming up a lot, ironically, lately for some reason. Well, we can probably spend another hour talking about Disney, because I was gonna throw up some questions for you, but we'll get off that, and we'll talk about that offline. Because there's just a ton. And also, I'll probably say it later, but thank you everyone for sending these. Started off kind of lame, but turned out to be pretty cool. And we'll just move on. Try not to spend too much time on one, but let's do. Sergio Leone asked, how much did you cry when Spider-Man said, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good"?
We don't have 2 hours to discuss that.
We're not going to go there. We'll just say
there were so many of those questions I just saw, and I'm just I don't have the time, because once I get started on these things, it won't stop.
Yeah. It's so weird you look like that guy, man. I swear to God, when I saw that picture of some dodgeball play.
I had not heard that, and then somebody at work said it. You said it. Somebody else said it. Like, was it you who commented on the picture of like in the plane?
Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. These two guys met Spider-Man. I'm like, wait, that's man, that's freaking Andrew. Yeah. Oh crap! And then it was. I'm not even joking. I thought that's why they posted that. And I was like, oh, they're just going to round whatever, or some tournament. But yeah, it's just funny how that works out. Maybe I should probably skip the Sergio's other one. That would be if you're Spidey, who in Dodgeball is your Venom? I guess that's fair. Okay. Little imagination here. If you are Spidey, who in Dodgeball is your Venom?
Man. That's a deep question. I don't know. I actually like
do you have a nemesis, or do you have someone that you would consider a rival that, and without trying to offend anyone or upset anybody, and we can come back to that too, because that might be a follow-on question from some of the serious ones. But yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, come back to me on that.
like a kryptonite. Let's see.
Oh, Pan Pacific, that gym.
Yes,
that's my Venom.
Oh, just the gym.
Just the gym. Yeah, that gym's existence is my Venom.
That's awesome. Let's ring bells when you play again. And that's Markel Stokes asked if is it cursed, but the fact that it would be
that gym is 100% cursed.
And that is that's where Brody had that catch, right?
That's where Brody had the catch. That's where Eric had that catch. That's where anything weird that has ever happened to me has happened in that gym.
Oh man, I'm just gonna watch that video again. Can you recall your most clutch play? This is another Markel Stokes question. Or a solid clutch play that you can recall, just kind of based on memory.
I think one big one was actually for the year that we got second at nationals. We were down. It was me against 4 against Deathball. And I want to say that this was either the going into the semifinals or going into some big game, but this might have actually been the losers bracket, or for us to go into the losers bracket. But it was me on 4 with Titan, and we won that game.
New Orleans, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that was my best nationals, and then I also had that. The game where Kate caught during the I guess clutch. It was Nicole had that big catch on Billy, and then I got caught in, and then I got out of Serge was charging at me, and I slid back and hit the ball, kind of bobbled it for a second, and as it was going out, I snagged out of the air. That was a clutch play. But not the biggest play, but the biggest series of plays was at Worlds in 2015. We were down, I think we were down 4-2 against Australia. And then I threw 4 headshots in a row. Hit somebody in the head, ball came back, hit somebody, the ball came back, hit somebody, the ball came back. And that flipped our momentum. Momentum was on our side. They shut down. The gym lit up. That was probably one of the biggest just series of plays, just because of the stage, just because of where everybody was. That was huge, because we kind of came in we crushed them the day before that in round robin, and then we came in that we were down 4-2 at home, and that was, we had to come back and win that. So that was a big game swinging play, series of plays, and just shifting momentum in our favor. So that's probably the biggest moment. And
that was another one of those Ketchum's freaking hot. Don't disrupt that. Let it happen.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. Yeah, we'll say New Orleans, when we took second, there was something. It was weird, man. It felt like we were losing you to the dark side, where you're just gonna get in your head and it was a done deal. And then something happened somewhere in the loser bracket where you pulled yourself out of it, but you also started pulling all of us out of it, and you just were a different person.
Was that when I gave the Denzel Washington speech from Remember the Titans?
Possibly. Because at that point you were already oh, Ketchum's back, and he's improved, or I don't know, he's different. But this is awesome.
That was,
Let's run with it.
I think that was right after the Deathball game.
Yeah,
I think it was right after that because we came out of that, and then I was like we got this. It's fine. Like, let's keep going. Like, I remember that.
That was don't take this the wrong way, but that was the first time I ever actually saw you as a leader on the court, and that was incredible. But yeah, whatever clutch thing happened to make that happen, keep doing that. That was a good run, but kind of a feed into clutch mentality and whatnot. So Joe DeFuria asked, how does being one of the most recognized names in the sport affect your mentality in a tournament? And does it add confidence, pressure, or do you feel anything?
But this is mostly just me because I'm so competitive and I'm so competitive with myself. Like, I just feel this constant need to like keep getting better, or like keep performing. But yeah, it definitely adds pressure because like, you know, when a lot of people say like people have said like if you get out, it's over. Like, hearing somebody say that, like you know, it's hard to live up. Like, people get out in dodgeball. Like, that's the game.
Yeah, you're not invincible. You're not immune.
Yeah. So it's like, and sometimes I let that get to myself. Like, if I get out on something dumb, like I put that all on me. I'm like, oh, like, this game's on me, guys. I shouldn't have gotten out. So sometimes that definitely does get to me at certain times. Sorry. But for the most part, no. It just drives me to, you know, play better and perform to the highest I can.
Gotcha. So Nick Victorian asked, how many tournaments did you win at Sky High Sports? And I think that might be a nod to what you kind of talked about earlier.
So twice a month for 2 years straight.
Dang.
So yeah. It was and there was one tournament where Vince Radke came out. Like, we had random groups of people come in. Like, but we consistently won tournaments at those places.
So twice a month for 2 years, it's like 48 tournaments won?
Yep.
At least.
Yep.
Awesome.
And we would travel to all the Sky Highs that we could around. And sometimes Sky Zones, if that was like right around the time Sky Zones started kind of popping up.
Nice. Courtney Grace asked, who is your perfect Team USA? I don't even know if you can answer that one, or
it's the team that the perfect Team USA is Tony Stumpo 9 times. Just
9 times Tony Stumpo.
Just multiply Tony 9 times. That's my perfect Team USA.
And why would that be?
He just great attitude, great player, great human being. He's the full package. So it's hard to beat that. Nice. Great looks, you know.
Just all around solid dude, on and off the court. Need 9 of them.
Yep, need 9 of them.
Awesome.
And then the other 6 alternates are Wesley Peters.
Just 6 other Wesley Peters.
Yep, just 6 other Wesses.
Same reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Mostly just his good looks on the side, because I feel like that's real. That's inspiring.
It's got to be. Like, man, it's a lot of beauty looking at me. I'm gonna do really good now.
Yeah, you have to. You can't let Wes down. So.
Nice. Courtney also asked, aside from Courtney, who is your number 1 cheerleader?
Ooh. Probably my mom.
I was gonna say.
Like, it's hard to beat that. She goes to every single tournament she can. She'll fly anywhere. She'll watch from anywhere. Like, they're the mix of Courtney, my mom, Mike, my mom's boyfriend, and my brother are probably the biggest dodgeball fans. Like, actual true dodgeball fans. Like, they just go to watch. Even if I lose, even if I'm out, and like I'm off somewhere else, they're still watching. They're like, you'll get over your loss, like whatever. We're watching the fun, like, you know, like
right.
They just want to watch dodgeball.
That's cool. And yeah, you're right. I mean, they're always there. And Stephanie almost had me convinced to reach out to your mom and just put her on the podcast when we were having our misfires there.
She would be a good. Honestly, like, if you want to interview a fan, like, ask her about like that's. we have very few like just true dodgeball fans. Like don't play, just like the game and follow the game and the players.
I might. You never know, man. Because it would be cool to really hear a complete outsider's perspective, but just understands enough of it to be able to comment and talk about it. So that's I might do that.
Yeah, it's like because it's we always hear from players, but it's like it's even sometimes like just when she's telling me about things, it's like I don't notice these things, like I don't see these things, like as a player or like as an organizer, but like what about as a fan?
Yeah, for sure, because we're so close to it. I don't know about this one. Markel Stokes had asked previously, "Are you ready for the combine?" I'm going to say no. You probably weren't, just from talking for the past hour and a half. That's definitely a dated question.
I was gonna say as of 9:30 in the morning, that when I still didn't have my keys, I was not ready for the combine.
Right.
But once I got the keys unlocked out of the car, then I was ready.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote this one. It didn't transfer over, but what was more satisfying, breaking your homie Brett or breaking your homie Ethan?
Oh man.
Who did that one?
Well, probably all right, let's say Ethan because he wasn't on my team at that no, he was on my team. That was co-ed, wasn't it? No, I was on Riot. So Ethan's because I was playing against him. Brett's did not feel good because that was like right before Elite. And the second he, shout out to Brett though because he caught that ball, but like the second just something seemed off and like his finger went back and I was just like, oh no, just the classic like state of Arizona teams.
Yeah,
I'll leave it there.
Yep, we'll move on. I think Brett asked this one, and that is, and I don't understand kids speak these days, so just bear with me.
Okay.
If you could assign a rip to any one of the homies, who would rip and why?
Ooh.
First of all, what is a rip?
It's anything you want it to be,
That doesn't. Help.
But no, it's you gotta drink something. So since I don't drink, my rips are something else, but. A rip is if somebody does something, it's like, what are you thinking? Like, why would you do that?
Like you're ripping into them, or
kind of.
Okay.
But it involves alcohol, so it's like so you put it to a vote with all the rippers. You vote should they rip, and if the yeses have it, they got to rip. That's the end of it. So I'll probably assign Ethan a rip, just so he leaves his ranch and comes to hang out with the homies.
Fair. I don't know if he'll listen to this out on his ranch, but Ethan, I guess you've been assigned a rip, and I'm gonna move away from this now because I sound like I'm 50. Let's see. Joe asked, who in Dodgeball has the best dance moves? Joe asking the serious questions here.
Jake Mason, because nobody else dances in Dodgeball except Jake.
Let's say Stephanie Baxter and Brett Baxter. I think I remember them tearing it up pretty well.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like during Dodgeball.
Oh, during Dodgeball. Yeah, maybe that's what he meant.
But then outside of Dodgeball, it's 100% Ethan Dibble. Nobody gets down like him.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Nice. So you got a rip and some kudos.
Yeah, rip and a shout out.
Nice. I think maybe Joe asked this one too, and this is a kind of a good one. If you could host a dodgeball tournament anywhere in the world, where would it be, and what would your dream venue be to play in?
Oh, Fenway Park, 100%.
Fenway Park.
Yeah, and I just because like I want to put one team like throwing into the green monster just to see how the ball because when balls hit that wall, they do weird things. It doesn't make sense. But like put the court like right by there in Fenway. That would be my dream place to play.
And for those of us who may not be so baseball savvy, that's where the Red Sox play?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Similar Venom question, and that's in terms of both individual matchups and teams, who do you consider your biggest rivals?
You
couldn't escape it for too long. Let's come back full circle now.
Yeah. it's gonna be somebody who always lines up in front of me. So and we like these are usually intense, like just either trades or encounters, but it's probably Vince.
Vince.
I've always like, and I love him, but we've always lined up against each other, and like even when I started playing, and just he's always on that side. The second he gets a chance to get me, he goes for it. At UDC last year, we just like he either he got me first or we traded. Like it didn't matter. He just hit me. Like he'll always, and a lot of like there's a lot of times where he like one of us will catch the other, one of us won't catch the other, one of us will hit, the other one will dodge. There's very few times where we both just hit each other, which is the weird thing about it. Like one of us will hit each other and the other person will catch the ball, or one of us will hit each other, the other person will dodge it. So there's like always that like who's gonna get who out type thing.
Nice.
So I'd probably him.
Very cool. Courtney Grace asked, most underrated 8.5 player, in your opinion?
Most underrated 8.5 player?
Yep. Putting you on the spot, man. Who's your ideal Team USA? Who's your best cheerleader? Who's the most underrated player?
Most underrated 8.5 player is Mark Cesaravi. He just has great pump fakes, and I think his people don't respect his pump. So he's the most underrated 8.5 player.
What team is he usually on?
He plays in Canada.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so you're drawing from everyone, everyone that plays, not just U.S. or Elitist teams for these questions. Dan Levine asks, I think I kind of side with him, even though we kind of talked about it briefly earlier, and that's, I'm old and don't understand esports. I don't think you can sell me on them as a spectator, but I'm trying to understand what people who are Dodgeball's elite athletes get out of watching them.
Yo, watching, and I think this kind of attributes to like what we could have, like watching people who are really good at something, for like just me being super competitive, like watching people who are so good at something is just cool for me to watch. And kind of like with Dodgeball, with a lot of esports, things change just very quickly, just like that. And there are like players to follow, and like just if you understand what they're doing, it makes it that much crazier. Which is why like people outside of Dodgeball watching people play Dodgeball, like at first might not understand it. Right. But if you play Dodgeball and you see somebody doing something, like you're like, how did they do that? That's crazy. Like they don't understand like what just happened. So it's just that a lot more people are in these games, like in those esports, like play these things, so they understand what's going on, and so there's a larger population for people to be a part of it and enjoy it.
Gotcha.
So I think I mean, you get like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, sometimes millions, watching like their big world championship. So.
Do you think, and this is kind of like it's taking a lot for granted, but do you think that the same type of following that esports gets can ultimately one day be Dodgeballs?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can. Like there are a lot of games like just that kind of started like that weren't that big, and then a company releases a big game, and like it progressively gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So like, I mean, it's tough to say that like it'll be as big as, you know, some of these esports, but like it could. I think everybody just needs to, as crazy as it sounds, like do their part, share everything they can, post videos, take videos. Like that's how esports got so big, is because people started streaming, so other people could watch them play. So I don't know if it's like just streaming yourself, not your whole team. Like that, you know, like when do we ever have like a camera just follow one person in Dodgeball? That could be something cool. Like I don't know if that's the answer, but like that's how these streamers do it, and like that's what got these to. People started following the players, then people started liking the teams, and then from there people watch the teams play.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's something that we can try. Like maybe that's the next step, is, you know, follow players, then follow teams, then follow championships.
That makes sense. And because like I can stream Elite right now. Like let's say there's a tournament going on and I can stream something, and maybe my extended network might take a look, but they don't know who to give a crap about. Like they just see.
They don't know who to watch. They don't know what they're watching.
They don't know why.
Yep, and a lot of times they'll miss those really good players doing really good things because they're just trying to figure out what's going on the court.
Not only that, but there's no like I'm not going to be endeared to anybody specifically. I just see six guys or 4 guys, 2 females playing, and yeah, you might appreciate the action that's going on. And this is kind of how I look at like streaming sports. Like, yeah, I can kind of get, okay, so-and-so's doing really good at Fortnite, like they won or whatever, but I don't know why I care about them. But if I watch them and follow their channel, understood their personality, understood like their background, might buy into it a little bit more. So I think, and me and Tillman's talked about this in like the very first episode, there's got to be some way where you kind of mentioned where we can follow a team, but we can get that personality injected into it, so that way people build a following off of them and start to care. And one thing that I think is actually really helping is that we're professionalizing the team names, but we're also saying like San Diego Rise or New York City Goats.
Right. You have to have some personal connection to the team.
Exactly, and it could be as simple as
whether it's by location, whether it's by the player, whether it's by whatever. Like.
Yep. And it works with Team USA because like even throughout the whole like controversy on how Team USA was being picked, we still wanted Team USA to win. We still wanted America to win. And a lot of that controversy was because we want our best out there to represent us, and it's that could be one of those. But hopefully that answers Dan's question, because it makes sense to me. And I'm not as far removed from video games. I mean, obviously I still play, but man, sometimes I see you streaming or talking about Fortnite. I'm like, dude, why? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And here's a following question from him as well, and that's people talk about you as a pure arm, but then seem to remind themselves of just how well you catch. And then he asks, what are your biggest weaknesses? If you're willing to air those out.
Yeah. It's definitely I try to think a couple steps ahead of what's going on. So if somebody and there'll be a lot of times where I'll just do the laziest block because I already think I'm over the ball, or like I'm like, this isn't hitting my foot, like I'm a step ahead here. So like almost trying to jump the gun. But my biggest one before was for sure my mobility, which is why I've significantly worked on that.
Yeah, you've been thinning out a lot since you started this endeavor, and I think you've received some comments about that. So if mobility's worked on and you get that springiness back, and you thin out some more, do you feel like that's like your next biggest plane to break through? Or
yeah, like I think the difference between like good players and great players is they can do one thing, or like you're good at 2 things. Like mostly great players have 2 aspects to their game, but the best players can do everything. That's just the way I look at it. So like I think that like I just want to get my dodging as dodging, mobility, like movement, anything like as good as it possibly can.
So you can have the best arm out there, but that's not enough for you.
Yeah.
Nice. Aaron McCormick asked, just clearly have a lot of passion for the game. What drives that passion? And we kind of talked about like your competitive nature, the fact that this was a sport that you can actually play given your situation back in the day. I would say, and I don't want to answer for you, but I would say it's also the people. But what else fuels that? Because man, you get passionate.
Yeah. No, it's like I just love the game. So a lot of times that my passion will really come out is when I feel the integrity of the game is being corrupted. Or yeah. So like I just love the game itself. And I love the people in it, and I just want to see it get as big as it possibly can, and I want to feel like either I helped to build that or I was a part of it. So I think a big part of my competitive nature, the drive, my love for the sport, but also like I just I want to leave my mark.
Do you ever feel like your vision of growing the sport and seeing it succeed conflicts with somebody else's?
Yes. There's and I've had to remove myself from certain aspects of it. Like social leagues aren't for me. That's I think well known at this point.
It's kind of tiptoeing around that with my question.
Yeah. Like there's certain parts that I should be involved in. There's certain parts like there's a vision. People know how to get players in, but it takes one person to drive a lot of players away. And at times I've felt that I've been a part of that. And like if I want to be competitive and I want to like drive the competitive side, I can do that. I can give players a place to be competitive, to take that next step. But if your goal is to make the best social league you can and get players in, like that's awesome for the sport. That's not where I excel. So
have you just now realized this, or is this something that you've kind of fallen into over time?
Yeah, I've kind of fallen into it over time. Like whenever I'm playing, like I'm there's one speed and I want to win. There's not like let me just have fun. This is fun. You know what I mean? So like I just slowly over time kind of realized that like there's outlets for competitive, there's outlets for that, like, but they can stay separate.
Yeah, because I know you and I have gone back and forth on this a few times, and even before you, there was Mason Shank, who was we talk about, he was the Ketchum before Ketchum.
Yeah.
And he had that same problem. Like, yeah, you're a big dude, you can throw really freaking hard, but you got to tone it down. And he would do it most of the time, but then other times you get caught up in the game, whether it's recreational or not, because you want to win, and you get just that.
And you want to play, like you want to just play.
Yeah, you want,
because like that's like, and like I've like tried to explain this to people. I'm like I want to be able to just play. I don't want to people get mad at me for throwing too hard. People get mad at me for throwing like hard, like high or whatever. Like I'm like I just want to play.
Right. And well, that was the case with Mason. He just wanted to play. And think about even back in the day, like we had one league, that was it. Now there's kind of like there's like a recreational league, there's competitive elite dodgeball where there's nothing stopping you from going balls to the wall crazy, right?
Right, but that's like that's
full tilt.
That's 3-4 times a year for elite.
Exactly.
So like that's almost not enough competitive. So there has to be other outlets, because otherwise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's what I get. Like it's hard to argue with you because I don't feel like you're wrong, and I get it. And it's just like, well, I wish we had one recreational league just for that and that only. And then we have like a step up from that, and then we have our elite Sunday practices where we're able to go full tilt on each other, and that might come in time. I mean, even just explaining that right now, I'm realizing 10 years ago we didn't have that. 5 years ago we didn't have that. So
it's getting there. It just takes time.
Yeah, just hurry up before I retire. Right? Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, and that's why I asked, like, your vision may differ from somebody else's, but it still comes from a place of love for the game, and that's what I feel like is my when I get heated or when I'm like arguing with you, I'm like, he means well. Like, he loves the game. You can't get mad at somebody that loves the game for too long.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Cool. Well, moving on, and speaking of change and future, Andrew Fortner asked, what do you want the future of dodgeball to look and play like? Perfect time for that question.
I think at some point we need to pick a ball. Oof. A singular ball. What that is, I don't think I'll see in my lifetime, but I think like that's the biggest thing that dodgeball is missing is uniformity. Like there's a standard. This is the ball you play with. this is what you do. Like that can vary between age groups or whatever, but at some point we have to pick a ball. And I feel like the international community has somewhat done that. Whether or not we're going to get on board with that or we're going to try to change their view, like I just want to play, but I think the next big step is you got to there's got to be a standard.
So in your future, standard is one ball. We're all 100% bought into it. This is the ball for competitive dodgeball. That's how you envision it so far. That's your ideal.
Yeah, I mean, one rule set, one ball. I mean, I know people change up rule sets like here and there for fun tournaments, things like that. But it's like if you're gonna go to if you're going to a baseball game, like doesn't matter where it is, like the rules. If you're going to a football game, the rules. Now there's some differences between college and professional, like little things, big. Which if you want to do that's fine. But for the most part, like there's a standard of rules. You know how the game works. That changes depending upon where you go, just in the country. Like there's tournaments like that one I went to in the Grand Rapids. You only have to have 1 foot in bounds. At one point, just because of how ridiculous it was, I was standing in both courts. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't have a problem with it, but like I just don't see like how that's helpful for the sport. So there's a lot of things just standardization. Get a rule set, get a ball. That's where I want to see it go.
Yeah.
That's also the hardest problem to solve because not only do you have to essentially rebrain dodgeball and the community and like program them to be okay with this and you also have to accept that you're going to lose people because they don't want to play with this ball or they don't want to play this style. Like that's why I just want to be a player.
Yeah, right. Just go back to basics. Just show up, tell me where to go, I'll play, and then I'll be on my merry. But it's incremental, right? NDL came out with the 8.5 rubber ball, and then they said no pinching, and there was a lot of gripes, but people evolved to that, and then Elite comes. I'm just obviously fast forwarding a little bit here. But Elite comes and the dimensions come a lot closer now. We're way closer to each other than we used to be. And then you see the moves that USA Dodgeball's making. So, I mean, there will be a day, I feel like, where there is one standardized ball for competitive dodgeball, and you'll have like those slight variations like you would see in the NFL and MLB. But, yeah, it's just going to come in slow changes over time. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I feel like it'll be there.
Yeah, and like you have like the AFL, it's like fun, like you get to see like crazy hits, crazy jumping, things like that. So like throw a rubber ball in there, like you know what I mean. But like, or if that's where you want to have 8.5, have it there. But it's hard to not try to jump on the international train, because the rest of the world is doing it a certain way.
Well, so, I mean, we have still yet to adopt to the metric system, so maybe it's an American thing. Like, nah, you do what we say. You bend to our will.
That's it's sort of like that with dodgeball.
Israel Bentley asked, "What is Ketchum kryptonite?" Meaning, what is most challenging for you as a player? Might be a chance to kind of reiterate what we talked about previously. But what would you consider that to be?
It's probably just like knowing what I can do and expecting that it works every time. So, like, there's a long list of people I've full courted, and there's also a long list of people that have caught that same full court ball. I can hit them 4 times, but that 5th time that they catch it, that's huge.
Yeah, that's an elite match.
It usually changes the course of the game. So, like, it's doing what I know I'm capable of, rather than what the smart thing to do is. Because like on paper, like, or to a crowd and to everybody else, like that probably looks really cool. But it's that one time where it happens is usually at the most crucial time, and then I feel this huge like weight on my shoulders, like that was completely my fault, that was dumb. And usually Like before I even know it, I don't even look at Brett anymore. I'm just like, yep, that's fine.
I feel it.
Yeah, I can just feel his glare. But that's also a big reason I actually really enjoy playing with him, is because like I just, I know that is there. That's also why I just like with certain other people too. I'm just like I know that Big Brother's watching. Like I gotta play my best and not make dumb decisions. Otherwise, I let my whole family down, type thing. So
right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, 9 out of 10 times it works great, and you move on, and that 10th time, that's all it takes, and that's the one that you just remember forever, and that's
and as great as the 90% success rate is, like that 10% is usually the worst.
Yep. Especially when you got a target on your head the way you do, so that's just makes it even more that compounds upon it. Joe Kalila from Echo, I think he's number 59, based out of San Diego, asked, who has been most influential to you as a player? Which team, current or past, do you think has helped you become the player you are today, and why? So kind of like a two-part question there.
Man. Influential player?
Yeah, who's been the most influential?
Probably Nate. Nate and Brett. And then Pine. I put all three of those guys because they have always, they know what I'm capable of, and they always have my back, and they always tell me like hearing from Pine, like, you could be the best player in the world type thing. Like right now he's, that's the number one guy telling me I can be the best. So like, I'm like, okay, well, so I need to do something different. I need to change something. And it's just how much they've made me realize that there's more than just blasting people. And like, that's the game is more than that. And that I'm, this isn't smart because you're worth more than that. Like just the different angles that they made me look out of the game, which is a big part of why I like Dodgeball so much, is like just all the different aspects that they've brought into the game for me.
And it's not like barraging you for messing up. It's like a coaching opportunity. It's tapping into the better person in you.
Right. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, I know, I just, I got excited or whatever. Like I saw the opportunity and took it. That 1 out of 10 times happened. But yeah, just they've always know, like, or they've objectively watched me a lot of Nate and Pine, like if we're playing in a game and they're waiting for the finals, classic Doom, they're standing right next to me,
just watching,
or even at Worlds, like they're there, so like they're looking out for everybody. So, and that's kind of like, they're great leaders, and that's sort of the one leader I want to be at one day in Dodgeball. Whenever that's my time, I want to do that for the next group of people.
Nice. So the second part of this question was, which team, current or past, do you think has helped you become that player that you are today? So you've got some pretty influential, pretty legendary players in your corner. Brett, Crater, and Pine. Is there a specific team that helps you kind of pull that out of you?
Yep, probably Echo. Like once we started doing that, because like that's when like before like Rampage, it was like we felt like we were getting close, but like there was always a gap. Echo was like we'd get in these second place games, we'd be playing for in the finals, we'd be playing here, and so it was like, and I had that like Pine and I had that Brett at the same time. So
right,
I think that's really, and like that's where I think CUD, just the dynamic ways of that, like every player's worth is so much more than normally, so I think it just makes you play better.
Gotcha. And so there was another submitted question, and that was, who are the people that have helped you the most with Dodgeball? But it kind of sounds like we covered that with the question we just asked, but also I almost want to say like Nick Factorian kind of helping you out back in your early day, right?
Yeah.
getting you involved?
Yeah, and and even to this day, he'll always message me for a team, make a team, things like that. Like and yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. He's definitely on that list.
Would there anybody else that you might have want to include for that? Because it's more of like a broad question.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like outside of dodgeball,
Yeah.
like the life side, just the whole community in general. Like everybody's, if someone's going on in my life, or if something's like something's clearly wrong with me, because everybody's seen like my drastic ups and downs all throughout dodgeball, and at the end of the day, like it's everybody's looking out for me, which is crazy to me, because it just shows like the true dodgeball community that is out there.
Right.
And everybody supported me in decisions, good or bad, and just wants the best for me. So I guess really everybody in the dodgeball community has shaped my life
in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
At some point, probably when you needed it the most. For sure. Well, let's go to a funny question then. I was going to get really heavy. Joe Colella asked, if you were cast as the Terminator in any one of the movies in the series, which one would it be, and how does that Terminator correlate to you on the dodgeball court?
Oh man!
Wow. Do you even watch the Terminator?
I've never actually fully watched the Terminator all the way through. I've just watched like parts of it.
Oh boy.
That was like the one that like everything else like, but that was the one that I sort of just never fully watched or got into. I feel like it was because around the time it was released and just everything else, but
the first two are good. You don't need to get into anything after that. The first two, though, it's like I
saw Salvation. Was that the one with Christian Bale? I think
so.
Yeah.
I dropped off after 3, so.
Yeah, and then I watched the last one only because Emilia Clarke was in it.
She couldn't even get me into that one, but I understand. I'm
not sure I can accurately answer that.
I have a fanboy question. Who's your favorite Game of Thrones character, and why? That's the new theme of my intro now. I'm gonna loop that somehow, and that'll be the introduction.
That thinking noise.
Whatever that was.
It's probably me and my brother's favorite, but Jon Snow.
Mm.
The rise, the fall, and the constant realization of himself becoming what he's meant to be.
Nice. I could probably dig into that, but I think it can be inferred what that means to you. Let's see. All right, this will be the last one from Joe, and that is, at your stage in your dodgeball career, which team would you rather play on? A team full of old but wise veterans, or a team of players your own age? Why do you think that type of team would benefit you in the future?
I guess when I started, nobody was my age. Like, I played with Dave Benedetto.
One of the grand sages.
Yeah, so I think the more and more I'm playing, like, I want to not only, like, just play with players my own age, but just because, like, I feel like I can, because I started so young, which I guess, but it's like, I feel like you can build something out of that. Like, maybe you could change the game, maybe you change the style, because, like, rather than, like, going into somewhere and being like, this is how we play, because this is how dodgeball's been, like, why not be the team that changes it?
Right.
Like, basketball is a certain way, and then the Warriors come along, and, like, basketball's changed. Or, like, certain things, like, just certain teams and certain situations have just changed the game. Like, so maybe that can happen with some new blood.
Well, it's like it's kind of like the reverse, right? Like you when you first got into competitive dodgeball. I mean, this was like the NDL. You were playing with some of the wiser veterans, I would imagine.
Yep.
But it's like the competition has now caught up with the experience, if that makes sense. So like we do have young people like who's that kid again? Elijah Hashimoto, that are
Yep.
freaking 16 years old, but they're getting it. Like they're getting the strategy. They're picking up on the competition already. So, it may not be enough to be an old but wise veteran, because now I have to contend with a 16-year-old that might actually understand the game as much as you do. So, kind of a scary thought, but a cool one, especially since we can have a lot of future talk on the state of the game a couple of years from now. But all right, so I did get a couple anonymous questions, and I did kind of sneak some of those in previously, but this was like another two-parter, and this was, my question is, why have you switched so many teams? Most of the top players seem to stay on one team and have that consistency. Defend yourself.
Yes. A lot of it has been circumstantial. Some of it not by choice. Some of it by choice. There's also been location changes, and wanting to be able to practice with people. So it's, I wouldn't say necessarily it's like a like I'm just trying to find the best team type thing. I think it's just a situation. Because for the most part, I've stayed on the same teams in Elite. So I'm assuming this is for a UDC question. The year that I didn't play on German meet, I couldn't attend that qualifier, and I knew I wouldn't be able to. And we had just talked about, I had talked to them before about, maybe playing with them, things like that. That happened. Then some situational things happened with shooters as a whole. So then I just, I try to find another team. So it's, I'm not trying to, I'm not one to just ditch people, drop people, like, unless, as a team, but it's mostly all situational.
Yeah, and I can kind of back you up on that one, because I can definitely see, like, from an outside perspective, it could look like you're just trying to hop on any team, but at the same time, you'd be like, well, he just loves dodgeball, so he's just going to play wherever and with whomever, because it's freaking dodgeball. He loves it. But I remember when we were trying to pull you from Riot, talking to you to join us in Arizona, because you're moving down, as you said, a lot of it has to do with, like, location. A lot of that pull was because you can actually practice with us, but you were torn. Like you were, it was weird because I remember having, I don't want to say more respect for you. That sounds like I didn't have any at all, but I respected you for the fact that you were just so loyal to Mark and Riot that you had a really hard time leaving. So I know that you're not pulling like a, like LeBron James, you're just going to leave to play on a better team because you feel like that's your best shot. Like you do have a lot of loyalty to you. So I'll back you up on that one.
Yeah, but and that's like just because the funny thing was because a lot of this stems from UDC. Like I started, like, people do like hashtag my UDC journey, and so I was doing hashtag my KD journey, because Kevin Durant essentially went to the best team just to try to win.
Right.
So I just I've kind of played on with that, but
just having fun with it.
But I mean, like for Sky Zone and for most of those times you play with that team once a year and you're just trying to win the most money.
Yeah,
so.
And you kind of qualified that earlier with the fact that if it wasn't for the money, UDC wouldn't even be that much of a deal for you, whereas Elite's where it's at and whatnot. So
yeah, I mean, at least where my heart's at, and loyalty and teams, and UDC is as a lot of people call it, a business trip.
Nice. Makes sense. And the following question was, do you think your style of play makes you a tough player to play with? And I think I can reword that as in, do you feel like people have a hard time adjusting around you, or?
In very few occasions, I have seen it be an issue. But I think most of the teams I've played on is that like there has been that just going into it, like there's that knowledge that I am the player I am, or that this will happen, this is how I play, like I'm gonna get gunned down the second I don't have a ball, things like that. Like, so a lot of times, there's that, if the team buys into it, cool. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it makes me a hard player to play with. It's just adapting to players you play with.
Gotcha.
Like, and I'm not comparing myself to him, but like you're LeBron, who you play differently with than any other player in the NBA. Just situationally, that's what he does. Like there's like Steph Curry, he's gonna shoot a shot from wherever. It doesn't matter where it is, but you're not gonna get mad at him. Like there's certain players who they have a game, they play it. And I'm not comparing myself to either of them because that's gonna cause a whole other thing.
Someone's gonna take that the wrong way.
Yeah, that's gonna get taken the wrong way. But just like that's all sports, and if like any team you're on, any sport you're on, there's players, there's teams, and then people play around players. So I don't think it necessarily makes it harder for teams. I just think it's different for certain teams in certain situations.
Just changes the dynamic pretty much.
Yeah, I mean it changes, and I'm gonna use this quote just because I've heard this from other people. Like if I'm on the court, it changes the game. It changes the court, like it changes dodgeball. Like it's not that game that you played against the other team. Like it's a different game. So to say that, like it's not different when I'm playing will really, I don't think would be accurate.
For sure.
If that makes sense.
It does, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm sure many teams look at you on the court and be like, okay, we'll take care of Ketchum first, and then we'll worry about the other 5 guys. It's like you're essentially playing against 2 teams, so it definitely does change it, but I don't think it makes you difficult to play with. If you are a true competitor, you can evolve and adapt around anybody, or you should be able to.
Yep.
So now we'll get into what I would consider the heavy questions, but some of these were already pretty solid. What are you most looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Considering I just made the USA team, I would for sure say that it's really cool to see all the international players and all the people I get to see very few times a year, and just getting to play on that stage again is something that I did it before, and I've wanted to do it ever since. There's something different about it, so definitely that.
When's it going to happen?
In October. I forget the exact dates, but it's, I believe, October 10th through the 14th, something like that.
Oh wow! So that's
I think, I don't know, but I think it's that like Wednesday through Sunday type deal.
Nice. So pretty much almost right after.
Nobody quote me on that, and if I spilled something, nobody get mad at me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I meant like I probably should just ask like what month, because like for some reason I thought it was like happening next year, but then I was like, no, it happens every year. But cool. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean today's a good day to kind of ask that question, I guess. But this was also written about a month ago, so kind of talked about it earlier, but I do want to ask again, and maybe just kind of reiterate, what is your favorite dodgeball memory to date?
So I have 2. My favorite dodgeball memory is probably the first time I showed off to Courtney my dodgeball skills.
Aww.
And everything from there. Yeah, we've been together pretty much since then.
So is that what won her over?
That's yeah. She won't admit it, but it was the dodgeball skills. But no, I mean, probably it's hard to beat winning a gold medal.
For sure. Let's talk about this showing off for Courtney though. You gotta walk me through that.
I would just I would just try to like do crazy catches or crazy flip throws, things like that, like things that just whatever I could do. I'd be like, watch this. I'm gonna catch this.
How would she watch you play then, or?
Yeah, Courtney has been watching me play dodgeball for 5.5 years.
I mean, like, did you actually get somebody to come watch you play dodgeball, or was she already there?
We went on a double date to this place, and they pretty much watched me and my other buddy play dodgeball. That was our double date.
And that's where the showing off began.
That's where, yeah.
Nice.
But I to be honest, she's a big part of why I'm into dodgeball as well. Because she has always just same thing, supported me, but she's always been like, go do more. Like, you know, like when I was starting, she was like, you're good, go play, like go find that competitive place. Like she always pushes me to be better as a person and as a dodgeball player. So big shout out to Courtney.
Awesome. Very cool. One of my newest favorite questions came from you, actually. And again, probably touched up on it already, but just want to ask anyway. What do you want to achieve in dodgeball, and what keeps pushing you to play to get better? Talked about like the competitive dodgeball aspect in you, but what do you want to achieve overall? Like when all is said and done, you know, and heaven forbid you're retired, what does that look like for you?
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
To catch them all.
To catch everybody is my real task. To hit them is my cause. No, I just, you know, I really just want to, like, I want to say, I feel like somebody's said this in a movie or sometime, but you know, like I want to say I played the game and I played it well. I feel like that's a quote from a baseball movie. I swear it is.
Yeah,
but
it's got to be like for the love of the game or something.
It has to. Yeah, I want them to make a for the love of the game movie about dodgeball, and it'll be me. And I one day hope to coach a dodgeball team. I want it to get to that stage where everybody is coaches, every team is coaches, and I want to coach a team.
Nice. So you want to leave behind
I want
to. You want to train people.
Yep. I want to bring as many people to the competitive side as I can, because I feel like we can bring social players in all the time, but it's getting people to that next stage, and I want to bring as many people in as I can.
That's awesome. I'm trying to look up that quote. Hopefully somebody posts that on the thread somewhere, some movie buff that's pretty awesome though. So basically you want people to say that you played the game, you played it well.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think that's all I got, man. That's all the crowdsourced questions. Surprised we made it through all of them. Got my questions in. I can't really think of much else. I mean, covered a lot, so let me think of one more though. And that is, do you have like a favorite tournament? So let's take out like the competitive aspect. Is there like a tournament that you just have a lot of fun in? 'Cause you go to a lot of them, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sin City is a blast, but I think this is probably the most fun tournament. This tournament was hilarious. It was me, Dylan, Isidro, Randy, Rachel, Sam. I want to say Joseph. I forget who else was on the team. But this was a charity tournament, so we went in fully like we're gonna just mess around type thing. And we all played in Hawaiian shirts because that was my dream. And we held a pineapple the whole time. We were essentially the Jimmy Buffett team, and somebody had to play with the pineapple all game. It could not drop the pineapple, could not put it down, and just the most ridiculous stuff was happening. So if somebody got out, somebody had to go get the pineapple and keep playing with the pineapple. Like we were all praying to the pineapple gods at one point. Like it was like that was just genuinely a fun tournament.
That's awesome.
And then probably just yeah, and Sin City is always a blast. That's just that tournament's fun. And then the other one, this was more so for the after party than the actual tournament, was rest in peace the Detroit Cup. That hotel party afterwards was always wild. So that was fun. But yeah, no, those are just good fun ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, Sin City's always a blast. I remember I was just like kind of replaying most of my experiences with it. And I remember like seeing Sin City this year, and you're just like wearing a what the hell were you wearing? Like a deer elk suit or something? I was like,
the moose on the loose.
yeah, I was like, of course, why not? Like, I think it just like broke down laughing. I was like, oh my god, like, he's gonna be murdering people in that suit. Moose on the loose. What? Why? Just
that was a present from Corey Frederiski, and I told him I would wear it, and
nice.
and so I showed up like to the hotel in it. I wore it around the hotel, and I ended up playing in it.
So
I've still to this day I'm still washing it, trying to get the sweat smell out of it, but
well, I'm sure you can probably keep it at this point.
yeah. But no, that was. I told him I would, and it was funny.
All right, so if I were to buy you a costume, would you wear it?
Absolutely.
Noted. I already have a few in mind. Nothing crazy, just but yeah.
Yeah, I played in another fun one. Is no surprise, Jake's involved. Is the Halloween tournament. The WeHo Halloween tournament, because our team we've had a consistent team the past couple of years, but everybody dresses up and everybody's like fully in character. So last year I was we did Nightmare Before Christmas, and Pine was an Easter Bunny, and I was Jack Skellington.
Nice.
And I would randomly run around like trying to protect people, and I would kind of how he just like he's just like how he walks. I would do that around the court, like just like very bionic, like step,
all gangly and weird looking.
Yeah, so I would try to do that. That one's fun.
Nice. Actually, I did, and I don't want to end this on a serious note, but I did think of a question, and that is, what advice would you give to somebody who understands dodgeball, sees the competition, wants to get better, but feels discouraged or feels like they can't compete? What would you say to them?
Biggest thing, just there comes like the hardest thing in dodgeball is finding ways to push yourself. I think a lot of people either think that like there's no teams around, like not on a good team, like I don't know how to get to the next spot. The more you play and the more you improve your game, like the more you can, people will notice, because people notice. And the more that, and I think that's another big thing, is the more people record, the more people stream, the more people show videos, the more people will see like these players. And I'm going to go back to this Hashimoto kid, because I had no idea who he was before the qualifier, and wasn't I just hadn't gone to the South, minus a couple of the players I know that moved down there. I didn't know many of the South players, and I saw somebody commenting on it and said, this kid's going to surprise people. And I don't know if it's the West in me or whatever, the Best Coast nonsense. Like I was like, yeah, whatever. Now this kid was the real deal. And so like and I think this is just going to be with the way that everything's becoming part of USA Dodgeball and the way everything's growing. Like, don't get discouraged, because you will get noticed. Because like I was that player once at like my first NDL. I was, there was times I was going through, I was like, nobody will notice me. Nobody knows like that I'm good. Like something's not right. Like I just feel you'll find your game, and people will appreciate you for your game, and people will notice the effort you put in.
For sure. You didn't just appear on the court as the Andrew Ketchum that we all know today. It took work, it took time, it took practice, tenacity, it took showing up.
I used to play 4 or 5 times a week, whether it was at leagues or not leagues, for a long time. And I would also play on my own, and I would also throw on my own. And it's some people like my 8.5 throw. Some people have said like, you just have a big hand, like whatever, like that's how you can grip it and throw it. Let me remind you, I used to be able to throw hard, but could not put it where, like, I couldn't aim, period, for quite a while. I even looking back at like when we were on Rampage, I wouldn't be the first thrower, you know. Like it took a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something I think I'm hoping anyway that more and more people realize. Dodgeball is a competitive sport, and the only way to get good at competitive sports is to freaking practice. You can't just show up and be phenomenal on day one, and if you are, you're going to get humbled pretty soon, just because it's just the nature of the game. So, yeah, good stuff, man. I mean, it's easy. I can talk dodgeball with you for hours. Got a little bit of history.
I would willingly do it as well.
Right. Yeah, we just have that history, so we can easily do it. So probably see you on here again at some point, especially to help cover events. But thanks, man, for finally connecting with me and spending your lovely Monday evening talking dodgeball. And I just look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. Sorry it took me a while, but glad I'm here.
Worth the wait. A few years ago, one Sunday during Phoenix Dodgeball Competitive League, I was talking with Brett, and we were watching Chris Bell throwing what was probably a series of 65 plus mile per hour balls just being thrown against the wall, constantly making those very scary thuds. And I made a comment about how far dodgeball has come to be able to produce and develop a player of that caliber. And Brett said something to the tune of, there will be a day when that's the norm, that being Chris Bell. And I'm not picking on Chris. It was just a weird kind of prelude where we're kind of foreshadowing the appearance of somebody like Andrew. And what I would dare say is not just Andrew, but the competitive players that have been entering the fold since 2014 when Elite found its momentum and continued to grow and evolve into what it is today. And it's just incredible. I really thought what kind of monster would have to come to surpass that level of play. And it's just awesome watching this unfold. And I really hope that this episode kind of deconstructed that. I hope that it kind of showed Ketchum in a new light as somebody other than someone who just racks up a pretty high headshot count, and just shows what can happen when you persist at something you love. Again, it's just awesome to see the evolution of players, of teams, and the sport in general from my longevity with the game itself. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this particular episode. I'm super appreciative of all the questions that you submitted and for your patience, because something like this I just could not rush. And so I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time to get involved and get into the good old dodgeball chat and mindset. But obviously I'm a little tired now, so I'll just leave it at that. And that being said, everybody have a great Friday evening. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast up until this point. And have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Yeah, I know I best sign off, but you know what? I'm just going to send it.